There's a pattern doctors notice in their patients who fall. It's subtle at first, so subtle that most people don't even realize they're doing it, but physical therapists see it immediately. Neurologists recognize it as a warning sign, and researchers studying balance and aging have identified it as one of the most significant predictors of who will fall and who will remain steady on their feet as the years advance. Before we go further, let me be clear, this video is for educational purposes only and is not medical advice. Always consult with qualified healthcare professionals before making any changes to your health routine. Now, let's talk about what's happening when you walk. Every step you take is a miracle of biological engineering. Your brain communicates with thousands of muscle fibers, coordinating balance, strength, and spatial awareness in real time. Your inner ear senses position. Your eyes track the ground ahead. Proprioceptors in your joints and muscles tell your nervous system exactly where your body exists in space. This symphony of signals happens unconsciously, automatically, perfectly, until it doesn't. And here's what the research shows. The way you walk changes as you age, but not all changes are inevitable. Some are adaptations to weakness, some are responses to fear, and some, like the pattern we're about to discuss, are habits that sneak in so gradually that you don't notice them taking root until they've already altered your biomechanics, reduced your stability, and dramatically increased your risk of falling. The dangerous walking habit is this: shuffling your feet instead of lifting them clearly off the ground with each step. It sounds simple, almost too simple to matter, but studies conducted in gait laboratories across the world have consistently found that reduced step height, what clinicians call decreased foot clearance, is one of the strongest biomechanical predictors of fall risk in older adults. When researchers at Harvard Medical School analyzed walking patterns in over 1,500 adults aged 60 and older, they found that those who shuffled their feet were 3 times more likely to experience a fall within the following year compared to those who maintained a clear heel-to-toe gait with proper foot lift. 3 times. That's not a marginal difference. That's a fundamental shift in your probability of staying safe versus ending up in an emergency room with a fractured hip, a head injury, or worse. But here's what makes this pattern so insidious. It doesn't feel dangerous when you're doing it. In fact, it often feels safer. Your feet stay closer to the ground, you feel more stable, you're less likely to trip over your own toes, and so your brain, in its endless quest to protect you, quietly encourages this adaptation. It feels like caution, it feels like wisdom, but biomechanically, it's setting you up for disaster. Let's understand why shuffling happens in the first place. Because this isn't just about lazy walking or poor habits. It's a response to real changes happening inside your body at the muscular, neurological, and metabolic level. As you age, muscle mass naturally declines in a process called sarcopenia. Research shows that after age 30, you lose approximately 3 to 8% of your muscle mass per decade, and this loss accelerates after 60. The muscles most affected are fast twitch fibers, the ones responsible for explosive movements, quick reactions, and generating the power needed to lift your foot completely off the ground with each step. When these fibers weaken, your gait changes, your steps become shorter, your foot clearance decreases, you begin to shuffle. But muscle loss isn't the only culprit. Your nervous system also changes. The speed at which signals travel from your brain to your muscles slows down. The feedback loop between your proprioceptors and your motor cortex becomes less precise. Your balance systems, the vestibular apparatus in your inner ear, your visual processing, and your somatosensory awareness all experience age-related decline. Studies using functional MRI scans have shown that older adults who shuffle activate different brain regions during walking compared to younger adults, suggesting that the neural control of gait becomes less efficient and more effortful. Then there's fear. One fall or even the fear of falling without ever having fallen can change your gait permanently. Psychologists call this fear avoidance behavior, and it's incredibly common among older adults. You become cautious, you shorten your stride, you keep your feet close to the ground, you avoid uneven surfaces, you stop walking as much. And this caution, while understandable, creates a vicious cycle. Less walking leads to weaker muscles lead to worse balance leads to more fear, and more fear leads to even more shuffling. Research published in the Journal of Gerontology found that older adults with a high fear of falling walked significantly slower, took shorter steps, and showed reduced foot clearance compared to those without fear, even when both groups had similar physical capabilities. The fear itself altered their biomechanics. So shuffling isn't just a walking style, it's a symptom of deeper changes, weakening muscles, slowing nerves, declining sensory systems, and psychological adaptations to perceived danger. And here's the critical insight. All of these factors are modifiable. Not one of them is fixed. Not one of them has to be accepted as inevitable. But before we talk about solutions, you need to understand exactly why shuffling is so dangerous, because the mechanism isn't what most people think. It's not that you're more likely to trip over obstacles, although that's certainly true. The real danger lies in what shuffling does to your balance recovery systems. When you walk with a normal gait, lifting your foot clearly, landing heel first, rolling through your step with purpose, your body is constantly making micro adjustments. Every step is a controlled fall and recovery. Your center of gravity shifts forward, your foot catches you, and the cycle repeats. This process requires strength, coordination, and split-second timing, but it also trains your body to recover from imbalance. Every single step you take with proper mechanics is practice for the moment when something goes wrong, when you step on an uneven surface, when you trip over an unexpected obstacle, when you need to catch yourself quickly. Shuffling eliminates this training. When you shuffle, your feet never leave the ground long enough to require true balance. Your weight shifts minimally. Your muscles don't have to generate the power to lift and place your foot deliberately, and your nervous system stops practicing the rapid-fire corrections that keep you upright when things go sideways. Biomechanics researchers at the University of Michigan studied this phenomenon using force plates and motion capture technology. They found that older adults who shuffled showed significantly reduced ankle power generation during walking, meaning the muscles around their ankles weren't pushing off with enough force to create a strong, purposeful step. More importantly, when these individuals were subjected to unexpected perturbations, sudden pushes or pulls designed to throw them off balance, they were far less able to recover compared to age-matched adults who walked with proper foot clearance. The researchers concluded that shuffling doesn't just increase fall risk because you might trip, it increases fall risk because it deconditions your balance recovery systems. Your body forgets how to catch itself. And there's another hidden danger. Shuffling reduces proprioceptive feedback. Those sensors in your feet, ankles, and legs that tell your brain where you are in space, they rely on dynamic movement to function optimally. When you shuffle, the signal becomes muted. Your brain receives less information about foot position, ground texture, and weight distribution. And when your brain doesn't have accurate information, it can't make accurate decisions about balance. Think of it like this. Imagine trying to drive a car where the steering wheel has a half-second delay. You turn left, but the car doesn't respond immediately. You correct, but now you've overcorrected because the original input finally registered. Walking with poor proprioception is similar. Your body makes adjustments based on outdated information, and by the time you realize you're off balance, it's too late to recover smoothly. Studies using nerve conduction tests have shown that proprioceptive acuity declines with age, but this decline is dramatically accelerated in individuals who shuffle compared to those who maintain active, purposeful walking patterns. The research suggests that movement quality directly influences sensory sharpness. Use it or lose it isn't just a saying, it's neurophysiology. So now you understand the problem. Shuffling feels safe, but it weakens the very systems that keep you safe. It reduces muscle power, diminishes neural feedback, and eliminates the practice your body needs to recover from imbalance. The question now is, what do you do about it? First, assess yourself honestly. Stand up right now if you're able. Walk across the room. Pay attention to your feet. Are you lifting them clearly off the ground with each step, or are they sliding forward, barely leaving the surface? When your heel strikes, do you feel a distinct contact, or does your whole foot touch down flat? Is there a spring in your step, or does it feel heavy, effortful, flat? If you're shuffling, you're not alone, and you're not doomed. Physical therapists work with patients every single day to restore proper gait mechanics, and the interventions are remarkably effective when done consistently. The foundation is strength. Specifically, you need to rebuild the muscles that lift your foot, the tibialis anterior, which pulls your toes toward your shin, the hip flexors, which lift your knee, and the calf muscles, which push off with power during each step. Research shows that targeted resistance training can reverse age-related muscle loss, even in adults well into their 80s and 90s. A landmark study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association found that older adults who performed progressive resistance exercises 3 times per week for 12 weeks increased their muscle strength by up to 170%. 170%! These weren't elite athletes, they were everyday people who simply committed to consistent, purposeful training. And you don't need a gym. Seated ankle lifts, where you sit in a chair and repeatedly lift your toes toward your shin, directly strengthen the tibialis anterior. Heel raises, where you stand and lift onto your toes, build calf power. Step-ups onto a low platform train hip flexors and coordination. These movements are simple, scalable, and scientifically proven to improve gait mechanics. But strength alone isn't enough. You also need to retrain the movement pattern itself. Gait retraining involves consciously practicing proper walking mechanics until they become automatic again. Physical therapists often use verbal cues like lift your foot or heel toe to help patients re-establish a clear stepping pattern. Research from Stanford University showed that older adults who practiced exaggerated high stepping exercises, lifting their knees higher than normal during walking, experienced significant improvements in foot clearance, walking speed, and balance confidence within just 6 weeks. You can do this at home. Set aside 10 minutes each day. Walk slowly and deliberately, focusing entirely on lifting your feet clearly with each step. Exaggerate the motion at first. Lift your knees higher than feels natural. Strike your heel firmly. Roll through your step with intention. It will feel awkward. It will feel exhausting, but you are rewiring decades of habit, and that takes focused repetition. And here's where modern science offers something profound. Neuroplasticity doesn't stop at 60 or 70 or 80. Your brain remains capable of forming new connections, learning new patterns, and adapting to new demands throughout your entire life. Studies using brain imaging have shown that older adults who engage in motor learning tasks, like retraining their gait, show increased activity in motor planning regions and strengthened neural pathways related to movement control. You are not stuck with the walking pattern you have today. Your nervous system is waiting for you to teach it something better. Beyond strength and retraining, there's one more critical piece: environmental awareness and adaptation. Most falls don't happen on flat, clear surfaces. They happen on stairs, curbs, uneven sidewalks, wet floors, and cluttered rooms. And shuffling makes you especially vulnerable in these environments because you're not lifting your feet high enough to clear obstacles. Home safety experts recommend a comprehensive assessment of your living space. Remove loose rugs that can slide underfoot. Ensure adequate lighting in hallways and staircases. Research shows that poor lighting increases fall risk by reducing visual feedback about ground surfaces. Install grab bars in bathrooms where falls are most common. Keep floors clear of clutter, cords, and anything that could catch a shuffling foot. But don't stop there. Challenge yourself in controlled ways. Walk on different surfaces, grass, gravel, sand, under safe conditions. These uneven terrains force your feet to lift higher, your muscles to work harder, and your balance systems to recalibrate. Studies on sensory motor training have found that older adults who regularly walked on varied surfaces showed improved balance, faster reaction times, and better gait adaptability compared to those who only walked on smooth, predictable ground. And consider this: vision plays an enormous role in walking mechanics. Age-related vision changes, decreased contrast sensitivity, reduced depth perception, slower visual processing can all contribute to shuffling because you can't see the ground clearly enough to plan your steps confidently. An eye exam isn't just about reading, it's about fall prevention. Research has shown that updating glasses prescriptions and treating conditions like cataracts can reduce fall risk significantly. Now let me bring this full circle. The walking habit we've discussed, shuffling instead of lifting your feet, is more than a minor quirk. It's a measurable, modifiable risk factor backed by decades of biomechanical research, clinical observation, and intervention studies. It develops gradually in response to muscle weakness, neural slowing, sensory decline, and fear. It feels safe, but actually increases your vulnerability. And most importantly, it can be changed. You have the power to rebuild the strength in your legs, retrain the precision in your steps, and reclaim the confidence in your movement. You have the ability to turn walking from a passive shuffling habit into an active practice of balance, power, and resilience. Every step you take with intention is an investment in your stability, your independence, and your future. This isn't about perfection. This isn't about walking like you did at 20. This is about walking in a way that serves your body now, with clarity, purpose, and biomechanical integrity. Because the science is unequivocal. How you walk determines whether you fall, and whether you fall determines how you age. Choose your steps wisely, lift your feet deliberately, and walk into the rest of your life with strength, awareness, and control.